Hey guys, welcome back out in the garage. I did a little work on the bull, on the port that we're trying to do the challenge of the 450 CFM iron 4V cylinder head. Alright, so I did go in there and I did some guide work and I did some of the bull work above the valve and everything, and so I also want to flow it now and see what numbers we come up with and see if there's any differences. I had wrote down what we've already previously had when we first started this, and it was at 700 was 288 point, I think it was 6, and then at 600 it was 270, okay? So we'll go ahead and flow. Now we'll reflow it now. I just got it all set back up. We're still on the 215, the number 5 on the flow rate here. Zeroed out everything. We're good to go. I don't use a computer. I don't have a computer to use. So I just use, of course, my phone, the camera on my phone to do all these videos. So I have no way of showing still pictures. I took some still, unless I can do it, I'll have to look, but I can't put them in the corners and stuff like you see a lot of YouTube stuff going on. But I may be able to post pictures on YouTube. Maybe I can do that. So anyway, to show what I've done so far and put it in the corners and stuff. So I have two options. I'm gonna flow it. We're gonna see if we made any changes at all. And then I'm gonna try to put the phone camera up in here a little bit and see if you can, with the flashlight, and see if you can, that way you can see I did actually do some stuff in there. But if it doesn't come out good, maybe I'll just bust the head off real quick, throw it on the table, and then kind of show it. But it's just some rough stuff. It's not, I didn't get crazy. Most guys would go from 88 to 92, pretty high right there, as their throat, as your percentage, okay, throat percentage we'll call it, and that is of the valve size. So you were 88 to 92% of the valve size, the head of the valve on the intake, okay? I'm at about roughly 91%, okay, of what I've done. And like I said, I went in there and I changed the guide out to a long guide. I went back to, it's almost factory length, because the guides on these heads they cover a lot of that port. They go way down in there. And the guide I had in it, of course, if you remember on the last video or the 2 videos ago, whatever, was a short one, and that's this one here. Okay, that was just using it as a kind of a gauge deal. Well, that cuts. And the reason why is that book that we was reading on doing this, they say to remove 100. They remove at least 100 thousandths all the way around that guide, okay? So what I did, I actually used that as my gauge. I lowered the guide, then ran a long bronze guide back into almost factory length, but of course the diameter of that guide is smaller than the factory guide, okay? So instead of me removing all that, trying to, go around there, and it's a lot of work, and I'm always trying to, been doing it a long time, so I have little different ways of thinking about how can I do things without doing as much grinding and stuff. And it was just much easier to remove some of the guide and then just put a thinner guide in. Okay, bingo, right there. So that, you'll see that that's in there. Okay, and then again, I did bull work, but nothing to the runner. You'll see it's still all rough casting, as cast. Even into the bull, you'll still see some of the as cast, but then you'll see where I've actually worked it also. And I'm roughly about 91% of the valve. Okay, so let me think if there's something else. Oh, also want to bring up the clay. I didn't use clay when we started this, but there was a comment about, aren't you supposed to use clay and this and that? Okay, if that was a set of heads I was porting for a combo we're building or whatever, I would be using clay. But since this is just a thing we're going after the 450 CFM, and we have a long way to go, maybe after we test this, for now on I'll start using the clay, but I just felt it wasn't necessary for that first deal because I knew it wasn't even close to 450. Okay, even if the clay can give you anywhere, I've seen it give you anywhere from 3, 5, 7, and plus on the CFM, just depending on how you put the clay on it, how big it is, and all that. But so just for satisfaction of flowing the cylinder head and viewers and stuff, I'll go ahead and start using clay, but after we do this test here. So again, this is going to be just gonna see what happened, okay, with what I've done so far. And again, I'll try to show it one way or the other. And that's that. So let me see. I gotta use the light. It's getting dark out here. It's cold and dark, and I'm gonna have to use the flashlight. I've already zeroed everything out, of course, and this is still on the 215, like it's been. Everything's the same now, calibrated the same, and we'll see what happens. Okay, and then we're gonna do 700-inch lift, and we'll do 600. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the 600 in there anyway, but we're gonna do the 700 first, and we're gonna back it down to the 600. Okay, and then we'll go from there. All right, and then of course I have to write everything down on paper because it's hard to see, and then all of us will calculate it on the calculator. I'll move the camera over here. All right, I know it's a lot of stuff goes on over here in this garage. So okay, so let me move the camera forward because I like to show the dial here. Whoop, didn't mean to bounce it. Okay, we're on, it's free floating right there. Okay, so here we go. Let's tighten it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Go past it a little bit. Again, I don't know why I always do this, but I always like to do it on my... Alright, there we go. There's 7. Okay. Put this back here. Alright, so let me get my pen. Paper, and we're off. Here we go. Okay, it was 4.0 and then 58%, 215. All right, that was at 700. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate. Oh, let me go ahead and find my chart here and run that over real quick. 4.0 is 2.644. Okay, 2.644. My little cheat sheet I got to use up there off of that scale there. All right, now let's see what we got. Here's the numbers. Okay, 4.0 is now converted to 2.644. We had 58%, and we're on the 215 on the flow rate. Okay. See if I can lower this down. Okay, there's the calculator. If you look close back here, that's all the different glues. You know how many calculators over 30 years I've had siliconed on here? From big one, I need to go back to a big one now. Okay. So let's do this. All right, here we go. We got our numbers. Turn our calculator on. There's the 0. Okay, our first number, well, we'll just put 215 because that's our flow rate. Okay, times 58.58 times the 4.0, which is a 2.644. 2.644 equals 329.7. All right, so we have 329.7. And that's at 700-inch lift. Okay, now that we're still here, let's go ahead and back this off. Can you see it? I gotta change the angle of the phone, don't I? Anyway, we backed it off to 600-inch lift. Okay, let me go back here. Get to see my floor. All right, there we go. So we're at 600-inch lift. Let's see what it does now. Okay, 215, 4.3, and 56. So 4.3 is 2.552. So that gets converted 2.552. All right. Let's see if that did anything. A lot of camera moving in this shop, ain't there? All right, roll this down. All right, clear that. Okay, we're on the 0. Now we're at 215 times 2.552. 2.552 times 56.56 equals 307.2. All right. 307.2. I'm just curious of something. So you take 329 minus 307 is 22 CFM between the two. And when you add up and when you figure up, our first one was 18. So it's not even that far off. They're kind of riding together, if that kind of makes sense. 18, 19, 21, okay, 4 CFM between 18 and 22. So actually we're carrying everything the right direction right now, the way I'm looking at it. There's other ways to look at this. So now, all right, so I don't know, let me see if I can somehow zoom in there. Ah, come on, phone. Well, there's no happy medium. There you go, that helps a little bit. You could definitely see I went in there and worked. And there's the bronze guide. You can see why I say the radius or the diameter is smaller than the stock guide, but I went ahead and put a full length. Okay. And you can see, oh, you can see the valve is nice and wide open. If you look real close, I can still see some blue dye in there. There's that blue dicom from when there's the spark plug. There's the spark plug in there. So anyway, you can see that I didn't port the runner at all. It's still nasty. But there you go. Hey, we don't have to pull the head off. Good, because I really didn't feel like pulling it off right now. It's getting cold out here. But yes, there you go. All right. Alright guys, I know my videos are kind of a headache the way I have to do it all, but I promise you someday I'll get everything figured out. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. But now I think you were able to see I went in and did some work, and there's still more to do in there, and I didn't do anything in here at all the way to the short turn. You've seen it was rough all the way there. So, and you see I put a long guide, you know, with the 1/2 inch diameter versus the big guy that's in there, but they wanted you to remove that anyway. So I kind of balanced it out that way, all right? And anyway, and you see the valve was open. That was at 600, of course. It would have been open a little bit more if I would have showed the picture at 7, but you seen it was wide open there. So anyway, guys, I hope that was kind of a cool video. And next time I do a little more, we'll keep it. Oh, I guess I'll at least show, I know I already showed it anyway, but I'll do it one more time right before we end the video. So we went from 700 at 288 at 700 to 229 at 700, and then 270 at 600 to 307, okay? And 18 is the difference in the CFM here, and 22 is the difference in the CFM here, okay? So really that's pretty good. We're still a long ways away from that 450, but we are moving in the right direction, okay? All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that video, and until the next one, stay tuned. Thanks.